Hello friends, I'm Nell, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make your own botanical inks. You'll need a few pieces of simple equipment. They should be things that you already have around the house. So you'll need a small aluminium pan. You can get these from the pound shop. Once you've used them for making a natural dye, don't use them for any cooking or food use. Something to strain off your dye stuffs. So either a small strainer or one of these really cheap vegetable bags you can get from a supermarket. Something to use as a small palette, a brush, pencil for keeping notes, a jug, access to water and a source of heat, some paper. I'm using Khadi paper because it's really nice to work with. And you'll need to choose what you're going to make your ink out of. So there's so many things you can find around. It's really fun to go foraging and find plants to use like nettle, buddleia, bramble, dock. There's tons and tons of things out there. And you can also buy dye stuffs, dried or in extract form. It's also really fun to make ink from food waste, so onion skins, pomegranate rinds, they both make really nice ink. And today I'm going to use hibiscus to show you how to make ink, and that is sold as red tea in some shops. So you just need to get a good handful or so into your pan. And I'm just covering it with hot water. Simmer your dye stuffs on a low heat for about 30 to 60 minutes. Some materials take longer than others to extract the colour from, so flowers will give up their colour quite easily. You can see that this is already turning a lovely pink. But other things like bark and waxy leaves will take a little bit longer. Sometimes you'll need to leave them overnight to steep. Once your colour is ready, strain it off. I like to squeeze every last bit of colour out of my dye stuffs. I've labelled up a little jar. I'm going to pour it into that. Now this is the really fun bit where we get to use some modifiers to see if we can shift the colour of the ink. I'm going to label up my paper. So this is hibiscus flower, dried, and the date. So now I'm going to add a little bit of the gum arabic that I've prepared from powder. It's not really important if you don't have this, it just makes it a little bit smoother and nicer to work with. So just a couple of drops. And for my first swatch, I'm not going to add any modifier. See, it's a lovely pink. Between each swatch, I'm going to wash my brush and dry it off a little bit. Next, I'm going to add citric acid, which I have in a powder, but you can just use lemon juice. And with a lot of these botanical inks, you'll find that they change colour as they dry. So it might not look like a radical difference here. But they may change as they dry and even overnight. So just label that up citric. Next thing I'm going to use is alum, which is used in dyeing. You can buy that online. So that's going in my third palette. And that looks like it's made the colour a bit stronger, which is often the case with alum. Next up, some washing soda, so that's quite a strong alkali. So be careful if you're using alkali not to get it on your skin if you have sensitive skin. Add a little bit into there, give it a stir. And you can see, hopefully you can see that that is really changing quite dramatically. So that alkali has really shifted the pH. Into a kind of sage green, which is really lovely. Next I'm going to use a bit of vinegar, just a couple of drops. Try not to dash it everywhere. And lastly, I'm going to use some ferrous sulfate, which is iron that's used in dyeing to sadden colours. And you can make your own from a rusty nail, a piece of rusty metal that you put into vinegar and water solution to make a rusty water. Now, iron is usually quite strong, and if you get it on your hands, it makes your skin go a bit black, so just be really careful with that and make sure you're washing everything up. And there we go. So that's my little swatch sample. I'm going to wait and see what happens to these when they dry and have another look. So I've extracted the colour from some red cabbage in exactly the same way as the hibiscus, just chopped it up, covered with a little bit of water and simmered it away for about half an hour. So let's see what colours we can get from this. So again, I'm going to make notes for myself so I don't forget what I've used if I want to replicate the colour. So my first test is unmodified, I'm not adding anything to it. I'm going to add my modifiers in the same order so I don't get confused. So citric, I can see that's really brightened the colour. Next is that alum that we use in dyeing to make things more light fast and wash fast. Wow, and that's gone really purple. So you can see that red cabbage is really reactive to pH. You can get quite a nice variety of colours from it, but it's not the most light fast. So it might be that these colours just fade completely over time. But it's really fun to play with them. Like, look at this, what an amazing turquoise. That's with the washing soda. Next up, I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar. Just a wee drop. And that's gone back to a more purple tone. And last of all, the ferrous sulfate. Which I'll label up as iron. So you can see that that's a really nice palette, a really nice range of colours. And our hibiscus flower is still kind of developing and doing its own thing, so it'd be really interesting to come back tomorrow and see what these colours look like. So I hope that has been helpful. Do let me know if you try any of these techniques and what kind of plants you have in your area that you can have a play with. The possibilities are totally endless with this, and it's always really exciting to see the colours shift and change when you add the modifiers. So have fun with that, and let me know if there's any other videos and techniques you'd like to see. You can like and subscribe my channel and check out my website at www.nellsmith.co.uk. Thanks for watching.